just live. Just 2 seconds. Okay, all right, here we go. Here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to the Everyday Heroes mini-series, really. We are talking to parents and experts who have lived the journey when it comes to autism and other diagnoses. So I just wanted to welcome today the most amazing PJ Tagg. People obviously refer to her as PJ, her name is Penelope, but she's affectionately known as PJ. Now, PJ, I am so thrilled to have you here to chat to parents and to experts alike around different things that come up with regards to children who are having multiple diagnoses and what that looks like from a parent's perspective. So can you just give, for people who have joined and who don't know much about you, can you just share with us a little bit about your background and what's happened?
Sure. I can spend about half an hour just on the diagnosis and the journey. But I'll make that super quick. So my oldest son, Jethro, is now 13. He was diagnosed with ASD at 3. Since then, we've been on a bit of a journey with him. They added ADHD at 6 when he was at school. His official diagnosis is ODD markers, but that was a few years ago. So since then, we've learned a lot more about PDA, which is pathological demand avoidance, and I feel he fits that profile much better than the ODD profile. For those that don't know, ODD is oppositional defiance disorder. Now, oppositional defiance disorder and pathological demand avoidance are very similar, but also very different. So it's a whole journey.
Yeah.
And then, so that's Jet. My daughter Zoe is 10, and 2 years ago, she was diagnosed with ASD, anxiety, ADHD, and ARFID. So ARFID is an eating disorder that affects kids. It's usually related to their ASD because it's a texture control, sensory food issue, not a body image eating disorder. So it stands for avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. So what we're dealing with. And then I don't know if we're getting onto it later on, but my husband was also diagnosed with ADHD about 18 months ago. I'm pretty sure I'm neurospicy, but haven't actually got myself officially diagnosed. We're a fun family to be around.
Perfect, love it. This is what I'm here for. Absolutely love it. So now, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I really would like to know the difference, and for the people listening as well, between the difference between ODD and PDA.
Right. I am not an expert.
No, that's okay. Just from a parent's point of view.
Yeah. So a lot of children with ODD, a lot of that comes from very traumatic experiences in their life. So a lot of family violence, a lot of not having trust in authority figures. So therefore, this is obviously in general, I'm generalizing. So a lot of defiance comes from refusing to rely on other people and only relying on yourself. Right. Which is understandable given that these children have gone through trauma.
Yes.
Now, PDA is more of a neurosystem disorder, nervous system disorder, in that Jethro has an overactive fight, flight, freeze response to any type of demand. So he sees or he perceives a demand placed on him as a lack of autonomy, and he then goes into, this doesn't make me feel safe, I need to fight. So as a parent, it's anything from go to school, brush your teeth, put your shoes on, eat your dinner. Like, these are all demands that we're placing on our children, and they are just not having it.
Yeah. And so, just in case you weren't aware, PJ, we've got a talk coming up next month. Oh, no, we're now in October. This month, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. So it'll be we've got the clinical psychologist Kate Ham coming out to talk about all things PDA, and I just know that there are so many that's okay. So many parents who are really struggling with PDA, with children who have a PDA profile, who really don't know the best way to navigate that. So, for anyone who's listening, yourself included, PJ, come along to the talk. We've got an
myself or Warwick will be there for sure.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's get to the question. So can you've already shared your children's diagnosis, so thank you. How do you think that you've coped with navigating the multiple diagnoses?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard, man. Like, it's so hard. I'm not going to lie and say it's, this one thing magically helped me. It's a lot of little things that help. So, things like trying to stay healthy as much as you can, leaning on friends when you can. Like, we don't work in our family in Australia. So we are, we have a lot of help, but we also are very self-sufficient. Like, we don't, I very much struggle to ask for help and admit when I need it, which isn't great. I got really sick at one point, and since then I've been working on it. And just, faith helps. Hope for the future where, hopefully we don't have to deal with these sorts of things. Lots of little things all put together just keep you going,
Yeah, no, I love that so much. For me, definitely a faith element is definitely a big one for me as well. But for the viewers who are listening, so PJ immigrated from South Africa. So she went to UK and then she came over to Australia. So it's definitely been like a journey, and it's so hard. Like, I can safely say that I have the village and I still struggle. Like, it's hard. So for the parents who don't have the village, I actually don't know how you guys manage, because there's just so much to it. And mental health then just gets thrown to the wayside because that's not the top priority. But in actual fact, it should be the top priority, because, like the whole thing about the plane, right? You put your oxygen mask on first so that you can help your children. Not always doable, right?
I know. My favorite thing is when people are like, so what do you do for self-care and how do you take time out for yourself? I'm like, what are you talking about?
What's that? Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Yep,
like, taking time out for myself is usually like when I have chores to do. So, like, I get to do the errands or take the dogs for a walk. Like, it's cool.
Correct. Oh, I totally get that. Okay, so what do you think has been your biggest challenge today?
Oh, biggest challenge, probably feeling like a failure. Feeling that no matter what we do and what we try or what's going on, like, it's still not enough, and it's still not good enough, and we're failing our children. Jet has violent tendencies on occasion, like not all the time, but he can get quite violent, and I feel like I'm, not protecting my daughter from my son, and it's just this constant fight in my head.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of the clients and a lot of the people that follow me have that viewpoint.
And also it's the shame, like, it's hard to talk about, and people don't really understand what you're saying. Sorry, my dogs are fighting.
No, it's quite all right. It's all part of life, right?
Always. There you go.
No, it's
but
fine.
Yeah, that's.
And did you have any blame or any so did you blame yourself, I guess, for anything, or did you think that it was just more the shame and the overwhelm, I guess, that came up?
Yeah, like, I did a lot, especially when Jet was younger. What could I have done differently? Did I eat the wrong thing? Was he vaccinated and that's what caused it? Like, all the
All the things that go through your head,
all the
right?
things,
Yeah.
it just, it's constantly, because like a lot of my neurospicy is overthinking, and which
Mhm.
is diagnosed as depression, anxiety, but I'm pretty sure it's ADHD. Anyway, so a
Mhm.
lot of that overthinking and blaming yourself and what should I have done? What could I have done differently? If I'd only done this, would this be different? Like, it's just this
Yeah.
constant.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. But the thing is, at the end of the day, even if we could, like, say it was this one thing, right? It was because you ate the twisties. That is what caused it, right? You can't go back and change it,
No.
right? You can't go back in time, go back to the past and not eat the twisties, right? That's just the way that it is,
Done.
right? So what has been done is done, and now we need to look to the future to see how we can best support that. But I know so many clients, and I put myself that first and foremost. I used to look at the past a lot,
Yeah.
right? Exactly what you were saying. And I wish I could have changed it. But then what if I had a different child, right?
Yeah.
What if my son wasn't the person he is today? Who knows? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I can't change that. So we can only look to the future.
Right.
Okay. What piece of advice would you offer a new parent dealing with a child who has multiple diagnoses?
Number one, it's not your fault.
Mm.
It's really not.
Say it again for the people at the back. Okay.
It is
Say
not
it
your
again. Yeah.
It really isn't. Like, yeah, sorry, getting a bit emotional with that one. It's not your fault. And you need to really believe that to your core. It's not your fault. You are doing that, and you're doing the best you can with what you have at the time. So, you know, because this is such a big journey, and like my son's 13 now, so I've been on this for a while. The things that I did in the past is not how I would do it now. And, we're constantly learning and getting better and improving and reading new books and getting tips from our psychologists and all these things. So you need to accept that what you did in the past was the best you could at the time, and not beat yourself up about it, because that constant beating yourself up, it doesn't help you. It really doesn't.
No. Yeah, no, absolutely not. And essentially, what you're doing is if you take that idea of a battery, you're draining that battery right down, and then you have nothing left to give to your
Yeah.
child anyway, right? And then we wonder why we're so exhausted because we're spending so much time in here, right?
So
Like it's
tired.
exhausting. It is. If I don't know a special needs parent who's going, yes, I'm great and I'm full of energy and I love the blah, 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 blah. Like, and if there
Yeah.
are, they're probably a very small minority, right?
Mm.
But they're
I'd like to
those
meet them
people.
and like get their secret.
Yeah, well, you know what though? Those people probably do have the village, and they probably are working out every day, and they are eating well, and they are getting their 8 hours sleep, and they are doing all the things that a parent of a typical child is doing, and hence why they can see it from that point of view. But when you're sleep deprived, it's very hard to see life as happy and jolly sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So okay. Okay, if you could go back in time to when you first received your diagnoses for your children, what would you tell yourself?
Good one. What would I tell myself? Um, I feel like, again, it just goes back to that it's not your fault. Like,
Yeah.
really, that was such a big part of the initial journey, along with the relief, because we just thought we were horrendous parents. Like, we thought we were terrible parents and that we just had no idea what we were doing. And, so
Yeah.
yeah, like we really just were like,
Yeah.
and it's just so hard. And we're like,
Yeah.
should it be this hard? Like, I knew it was going to be hard and like all consuming, but I never realized how all consuming and just draining it is, and like how you lose your own identity. So what was the question again?
No, what would you go back and tell yourself at the beginning?
Yeah,
No,
just to, yeah,
with
just
your
to accept
identity.
and go on with it, and just it doesn't change who they are. Like, I still adore him, even though sometimes, honestly, there are times, again, which makes me feel like an awful parent. There are times where I've hated him,
Yeah.
and that hurts my heart, So yeah, and the diagnosis is not the person. It's just what they're struggling with.
So first of all, can I just say thank you for your honesty, because I think there are parents out there that are thinking that same thing, right? No, but they are, because when you don't have that help, when you don't know which way to turn, and that child isn't getting the support that they need, and we've got to be honest that PDA is a relatively new diagnosis in Australia. Like it's not a well-researched thing like autism. Where we've got multiple supports. PDA is quite new, and so therefore we're just still trying to figure out what the best way to manage children with PDA profile.
The frustration of going to therapists and behavioural specialists and like all these people and spending tens of thousands of dollars, still not having answers or knowing what to do, because everyone's like, oh, so so the regulation and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, he's been doing the zones of regulation since he was 3 years old. Like, he's not stupid. Like, he knows what they are. Okay, like, why am I paying you $300 an hour for you to talk to me about the zones of regulation? Like, come on. Like, I need answers. Like, I need someone to just come and live in my house for like a week to actually see what we go through, because people, like professionals, have no idea. And like, we can explain it and they're like, oh, so before he gets to that stage, what do you do to calm him down? I'm like, there is no before. It's like he's fine or he's not. There's no build up. So, people don't get it. Like, they really genuinely don't get it. And like, they try to be helpful. And I find it really hard now, because it's been so long, not to just be like, you're wasting my time.
Yeah, definitely. No, don't pull that face, because you know what? As parents, we need to be able to advocate for ourselves. We need to advocate for our children, and we also need to advocate for our bank account. Okay? Like, at the end of the day, if a therapist is wasting your time, I would rather you turn around and say, look, Mrs. Buddy, whatever,
anyway,
this is not working, and you're either going to be, I'm looking for this, and you're either going to step up, or we're just going to finish up, right? Because I think there are too many parents out there who are going to therapists who are too scared to actually turn around and say, this is not working, and I'm not happy, and I need more.
I think it's that fear too, because it's like, if you don't have this therapist, how long until you can get another one?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's so hard. Like, something that's kind of not working is better than nothing.
I
feel like it's so unfair on the parents, and even like on the NDIS. Like, NDIS is funding this for most people. And to feel like you're wasting money on something that's not working, but you're too scared to change it, because what else? What are your other options?
Yeah.
I feel like that's so.
Yes.
We digress.
No, and it's true though, and I feel like parents are feeling like at a loss, especially, like I said, when it comes to the PDA profile. With autism, we know so much more about it, right? We know even ADHD, where there's we've got medication, we know stuff about it, we know a lot more things, but for the newer diagnoses, it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
okay.
Every day anything, basically.
Good?
It's why I'm so tired, because it's just constant fighting.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. And would you say, like, on average, if you had to rate yourself out of, like, not yourself, but your day out of 10, what would you reckon it would be? Like, 10 being horrific and 1 being amazing.
On average, every day? 6 or 7?
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Because like it's just I feel like this all the time, and like, I'm so careful about what I say, how I say it. What I say is going to have a reaction, so I need to be prepared for the reaction. If my daughter says something, is it going to set him off? It's this constant, what's going to happen, how's it going to happen, and it's going to happen, so how am I going to react? And then like, I have my own issues, like, and noise is one of them. So when they're fighting and the dogs are barking because they're excited, I'm like, I literally want to leave. Like, I want to walk out the house and not come back. So to have to be present and then deal with it, because if I don't deal with it, then there's the potential that it'll escalate, and then they will start fighting physically. And then I'm like, cool.
So then what do you do?
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go.
No, I was going to say, fortunately, my husband's amazing and, get a lot of support from him as well. It's not just like I'm a one-woman show over here. Like, he does so much for us. And, yeah, I don't know where I'd be without him, to be honest.
So after they've calmed down or they've stopped fighting, how do you then re-regulate your nervous system? Yeah, not a thing?
It depends what we have to do next.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if it's just a normal day and I'm not doing anything next, well, I work and I study, so there's never a normal day where I'm not doing anything. But
No.
it literally just depends. Sometimes,
Yeah.
like I remember, they had a fight, and I was driving to school, just crying in the car, going.
The car's a good one.
Yeah, just gonna cry in the car, and then I got to go to TAFE and put on my happy face and my student hat and just carry on with it, Yeah. The one shining light I have is that Jet's very remorseful and he's very empathetic. So, and Zoe is a really good sister to him. Like, he does not deserve her kindness, honestly. So, was it 2 weeks ago? Anyway, we were supposed to be going somewhere. We were in the car and he just loses it and starts kicking the car, and Zoe's in the front seat and he's in the back and she's crying, and then he gets out of the car and he takes off his clothes and he's stormed upstairs and, F you, F this, everything. I'm not effing going, the whole deal. And then I just stay with him and like, I don't engage. I just stay with him to help him regulate. And I said to him, Zoe's scared of you. Like, she's terrified of you right now. Is that what you want? And I could just see his whole body like do this. And he actually thought about it. And then he was like, oh. So he came downstairs and he was sitting in Warwick's study. And Zoe comes over and she just gives him 2 fidgets that she had found for him specifically. And he just started bawling his eyes out. He's like, you're the best sister ever. I'm so sorry. I love you so much. And he was like full on crying, giving her a cuddle. And it's like, and that's why it's so hard, because that is who he is. That's who he is at his core. The explosiveness and the swearing and the fighting, that's not who he is. That's his condition. And it's so hard when they're so close. So, yeah.
I hear that. I think you have just painted a picture for a lot of parents out there who are going through something very similar. I love your honesty, and thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. I do.
If you ask me a question, I'll give you a straight answer, Nat. You know that.
But that's the whole point, though. This is why I created this series, was so that we can have parents on here who are going to be real, who aren't going to show up and be like, oh, I've got my hair done and I've got my makeup done and I look amazing and I'm pretending to be something that I'm not really, because behind all the smoke and mirrors, it's actually just not looking so great. We want real answers. We want other people to recognize and see that I'm not alone in this and that there are other people going through it as well.
The older I get, the more I realize how much energy the mask takes. Yeah. So I try not to mask too much. Look, there's some people I'll just be like, yeah, I'm fine. Thanks. How are you? Because it's not worth it. But, there's certain people, if they ask, I will tell them now. And be like, today was great. Today was not great at all. But we're here and that's what matters,
Yeah, definitely. And just one last question before we go into our rapid fire questions. With your role with Kids in Motion, so for those of you who live in Melbourne, PJ works as a coach at Kids in Motion, which is an amazing program. My son and my daughter both go there, and my son actually does a one-to-one class, which has helped him so much in terms of his speech, his balance, his coordination, so many things. Like, the list would go on. Do you work with a lot of special needs children in your classes?
Yes.
Yes. And do you? Yeah, go ahead.
No, carry on.
No, I was just going to say, and And would you recommend parents who have children either with a PDA profile or autism or ADHD or ODD or whatever the diagnosis is to come in and do a session with Kids in Motion? Do you think that would help?
Yeah,
Or do you, yeah.
Absolutely. So the cool thing is that we're cheaper than an OT and a lot more fun. And look, I'm studying to be an allied health assistant for OT. I'm not knocking them. They are very important people. If you're looking for something different, I feel like we're a really good space if you want to do something different. Obviously, if you are high needs, a one-on-one session is preferable. A group class can be really intense for kids that struggle. So my daughter, obviously massive list of diagnoses, she can do a group class. My son he started doing a group and it just did not go well for anybody. So he does private sessions. So it depends on the child and also what parents are wanting. We also do occasionally, if it works and the kids fit well together, like a mini group. So you have like 2 coaches and maybe 3 kids. It's not something we do all the time, but it is an option if you have a couple of kids that are friends or that know each other or go to school together and you want them to kind of work together and they have a similar goal.
Definitely. Love that. Okay, great. All right, let's do these five rapid questions. Don't worry, it's not thinking too serious.
Okay.
What's your proudest moment so far?
I don't know. I think my proudest moment is, so I didn't work for 11 years raising the kids. So the fact that I'm now working and then on top of that I'm studying now to further what I do at work, I feel like I'm really proud of myself for doing that. And like it's hard. It is such a juggle. And like I said, I absolutely could not do it without Warwick. But yeah, I'm really proud of myself for that. And also
you should be
parent better. Constantly trying to do it better, you know?
The goalposts keep moving, so I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
What's one thing you wish everyone knew either about autism or PDA or ODD, or choose whichever particular diagnosis?
Oh, wow. One, that it is not just bad parenting. The amount of judgment that people with kids on the spectrum, regardless of where you are on the spectrum, get is horrendous, and it's really isolating, and it makes you feel like a really bad person or that you're a bad parent, and that kind of reinforces the negative self-talk. So it's not bad. This is an actual diagnosis. It is the way these kids are, and no amount of parenting or spanking is going to change that.
Yeah. Oh, yes. The good old spanking one. Oh, God.
I just hit him hard. Like, okay. Oh, yeah, for real. No, for real. I've had that. You should just hit him harder.
Really? Is that legitimately someone has told you that? Where? Okay. My mind's blown. Okay. Like, at what point does spanking then become abuse? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
especially when it makes a difference anyway.
Well, that's it. And then they're just going to learn that what hitting's okay, right? I'm like, yeah, let's smack you. Yeah. Okay. I've written this down, but now I feel like I don't necessarily know that you're going to be able to answer this because you might not do it. So what's your favorite way to de-stress?
The gym. I love just mental health wise, the gym. I also really like a good gin. So,
yes. Yeah, right.
But like the fancy ones because I'm a snob.
You like the which ones?
The fancy, expensive ones, you know. None of this like Gordon stuff.
You're funny. I need the top stuff.
I really enjoy walking the dogs at the beach.
Yeah, that's
like lovely. When it's really not great, I'll take them down to the beach and walk along the beach.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, I love that. What's your most rewarding part about working at Kids in Motion?
Oh, good one. The kids that, whether they're diagnosed or not, doesn't matter. Like the kids that struggle with something. Like I have this one girl who wouldn't do a forward roll, absolutely was terrified of them, and now she nails it. And it was just teaching them or being able to be part of their journey where you're like, you were scared of something. A lot of the kids are terrified of the rock walls, like, and just seeing them progress and seeing them be proud of themselves and their achievement is just like,
Yes.
it's so
Yes,
great. It's so
absolutely.
rewarding.
I love that so much. What's one word that you would use to describe your journey this far?
Enduring,
Yep,
just got to keep going. Like,
gotta keep going.
yeah. I've had a lot of times where I've had suicidal ideations.
Yep,
And like you tell professionals that and they're like, oh, and I'm like, I'm not
yep,
going to do anything, I
yeah,
can't, because if I'm not here, then everything falls apart. The same way if Warwick wasn't here, everything falls apart. Like it's I want the situation to change, not I want to die. Sorry, is that really bad?
yes. No,
But like,
no,
yeah,
not at all.
just being here and staying here and keeping going and not giving up.
Yeah, totally. Understand completely. Oh, PJ, you are an absolute warrior. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me today. I so appreciate it. I know my viewers and my listeners are so thrilled to hear you because they know now that they are not alone and that so much of what you've spoken about resonates with them and that they know what it feels like because they too are living that journey as well. So thank you very much, and I will talk to you soon. Is there anything that you want to add before we wrap up?
No, just thank you. You're amazing. I've said it to you before, I love what you do, and it's so important because there wasn't this kind of support when 13 years ago, So the more we can support each other, the more we can help each other out, the better we will be.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think there are far too many mums in particular that are suffering in silence who just are doing that masking and pretending that everything's okay until they get sick, until they have a mental breakdown, and then it all just falls apart. Pardon?
I got shingles.
Oh yeah, yeah, yes.
You can't do it on your own. Like your body will force you to get help if you don't look after yourself. So
Yep, 100% on that one. Yeah, definitely.
You're not alone. You're really not. And if anyone wants to reach out to myself or Nat, please do it because I'm probably too sometimes, but masking's too hard these days, and I'm too tired.
Masking is absolutely too hard. It is. It's exhausting. And then on the other flip side, that I have a lot of clients who were diagnosed late in life, then have to learn how to unmask, how to understand because they've been masking their entire life and they thought that was what it was. And then they have to learn what it looks like to represent your true authentic self and not to mask anymore. And that's a whole journey in itself.
I've had a lot of therapy with that. Don't worry.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Thank you again. And I will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Nat. I'll see you soon at work, hopefully.
Okay, absolutely. Definitely. Bye.